Tharsis is one of this week's free games on the Epic Store. It's a puzzle game with dice where you are trying to survive a trip to Mars. Tharsis, for anyone who doesn't know, is a mountain range on Mars itself. It's also a small village in Spain, but I don't think that has any relevance here. The idea is you are trying to survive your trip to Mars after the ship has been damaged by a meteoroid storm. You have already lost some crew members and you must now keep the others alive. I will just say there are 10 other missions that you can play in the game. These are predetermined missions, they do not follow the story mode, however the gameplay is pretty much identical. So let me give you a quick rundown of the gameplay. Each turn you will start with damage to the ship. The areas of damage will vary in their severity and also the results of that damage at the end of the turn. So for example, some of them may damage the hull, some of them may injure your crew, some of them may do nothing particularly exciting. However, you will have to decide for yourself, and that is part of the puzzle and strategy here, as to which ones you must repair. Obviously they can be anywhere from a very small number of damage to a very high number of damage, and this is where the dice rolls come in. You must make up that damage number in your dice or repair rolls. Each of your crew can have up to 5 dice to roll, but often they will have less than this as you will not always be able to fully replenish them. However, the option to replenish them is there, but we'll get to that. When you roll the dice, you will also have the option to re-roll or have additional re-rolls depending on the crew member you use. Anytime you roll the dice, there's also a possibility that the damage event will have additional effects on particular numbers of dice, such as locking them in stasis so you can't re-roll them, causing you injury if you roll them, or indeed putting them into the void and losing them completely. Other than putting your dice in the top box, which is the damage repair box, you also have the option of utilizing the ability of that module, such as maintenance so you can repair the hull, or indeed the med bay so you can heal the person who is using it at that point in time. Additionally, a lot of the crew members have their own additional bonuses that you can activate by putting the right numbered dice into that slot, such as the captain can give everyone in their module an additional dice roll. Finally, the last place you can put dice is into research. It may be that you have spare dice that you want to stick in there, or indeed there might be a research option which will be beneficial to you, so you put them in there regardless. Either way, once you have had your turns for each of your crew members, you will then move on to the damage phase, which is where the ship will take any hull damage, and indeed your characters or crew will take any of their health damage from those damaged areas of the ship. Next you will move on to a screen where you must select an effect card. This card may have positive, negative, or more likely, both positive and negative effects on either some or all of your crew or indeed the ship. You have to select one of these to move on, so choose wisely. Then you will be taken to a similar screen where you will be able to feed your crew if you have food available. If you do not have food available, you'll be offered the chance to feed them any dead crew members that are on board, which obviously has its own positives and negatives, but you can discover that. After this, you'll be taken back to the ship, where a dice roll happens in the background and you will receive a new random set of damages across the ship. And then pretty much you just complete turn after turn like this until your ship either falls apart or you manage to make it to Mars. One thing that may assist is when you're on a ship screen and you look at the top center, you will note that you can see what is coming next, at least in terms of whether it's going to be easy, medium, or hard to deal with. So that's the core mechanics of the gameplay out of the way. Now what I'm going to say is, the game is winnable. However, it is exceptionally difficult, and in fact impossible to complete at times. The random events or damages to the ship can have so many points between them that even with a full crew complement, with a full set of rolls of 5 dice each, you simply could not make up the numbers. And that's before taking into account all of the additional effects such as voiding, injuries, and stasis. The thing I will note is that changing the difficulty mode doesn't really help much in the grand scheme of things. The reality is that easy is like getting hit by a freight train, medium is like a nuke being dropped on you, and I would say hard is a bit like the planet crashing into the sun. All I'm trying to say is you're pretty much stuffed no matter which one you pick. The game also suffers from a few bugs, and what annoyed me about this was that it related to the dice, which is such an important part of the game. For example, I had dice vanish when I attempted to pick them up, even though they weren't being voided or anything like that. I've also had some instances where when I didn't have any assists left, the effects actually haven't happened correctly. Also, the second time booting up the game, it didn't remember that I'd already played it once and completed the tutorial, and then I wasn't able to skip the tutorial in any way, shape or form. And this isn't a new thing because I'm also seeing this posted on Steam previously, and my game version is on Epic, so you would have thought for the Epic release they might have done a little jigging around and maybe a little patch here and there. Moving on briefly to graphics, there's nothing really to write home about there, but it's nice enough looking for what it is, but it could equally be a mobile game. Sound-wise, the sound effects are fine, and it has actually some quite nice music that kicks in from time to time, though I'm not exactly sure what sets that off. I don't think this is a bad game. I think that it's a little bit flawed in that it can be truly impossible to complete, with no way around it because of how random it is, which can be a bit frustrating if you've tried many times to complete it and are just not getting anywhere. It is indeed all about the rolls of the dice in the background and your rolls of dice, so you're not guaranteed ever to win. It's also let down by the fact there are still a few bugs. I mean, this game was released back in 2016 or something, so this is a hell of a long time later, and there's still bugs that people have been complaining about since that time, which isn't great. I would give the game a 3 out of 5 for what is quite a novel idea, with what is a slightly flawed execution. I could certainly recommend giving it a go while it's free on the Epic Store. However, the reality is I don't think I'd recommend paying for this one. The game is free until the 23rd of September on Epic, so feel free to download it and give it a go if you're fancying something very challenging. As always, thanks very much for watching. Please do smash the like button and subscribe to the channel for future Epic game reviews.